Yeah, so breaking news right out of Ontario, another case. Yes, Scarborough Hospital. This person has a travel history to Egypt in their 80s. Not sure how this is going to play out. How many people did this person may have come in contact with? Did he isolate himself at the hospital, kind of thing? We don't know, right? So, yeah, it is. I can't even keep up to the news right now. Actually, it's just coming out so quick. Um, there's another case in the United States, and this person is an elementary school teacher. They've basically, yeah, they were working right up till they got sick, but they were probably spreading it. Of course, it is a disaster there, unfortunately. You could only assume that the kids are sick and that the parents probably are sick, and that's as easy as it is, right? We're gonna start seeing this a lot, unfortunately, and it's gonna be real sad situations, people. I promise you. Um, but we got to be able to rise above it, because if not, we'll just get sunk, right? We will. And yeah, the officials identified school employee in the Portland area who appears to have contracted the coronavirus 1 week ago. The patient had symptoms since February 19th, may have exposed students, staff at the school. Yeah, right. This is in the United States, Oregon, of course. It's not far. It's everywhere. We really have to understand that right now. I mean, like, this thing is absolutely everywhere. Let's check out the update from this here case, from Oregon. Yeah.
Guidance. We're also providing guidance to local healthcare providers to help them respond to inquiries they may expect to get from parents and other community members. We've notified the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and are working closely with all of our local partners. What we don't know the number of close contacts being within 6 feet for a prolonged period of time that this individual had. We don't know how this person became infected with COVID-19. It's too soon to say what impact this case has on family, friends, coworkers, or the Lake Oswego School District and other members of the community. Contact tracing is our top priority right now. We'll notify the public as soon as we receive any information about potential exposures. What are we doing? We will notify anyone who is likely to have been exposed. We're continuing to process COVID-19 tests as necessary at the Oregon State Public Health Lab. Earlier today, we identified that there were 2 individuals under investigation, and so we're testing that other individual. We will announce any individual positive test results when we become aware of them. What can you do? The advice is actually pretty simple and has been around for a long time. Cover your cough and sneeze. Wash your hands. If you begin to have symptoms of a cold or flu, it's critically important that you not go to school or go to work. Stay home and call your healthcare provider for guidance.
We can obviously see here that he's pretty shaken up, obviously. And you would be. Like, he might have kids that goes to that school or something, right? Like, it's you never know, right? It's a crazy situation, and it can unfold real quick, and things can get into desperate situations real quick. I promise you. And we're seeing that happen slowly. We have time now. If you already haven't gotten at least, a couple of weeks worth of food, you need to try and probably do that somehow, some way. Yeah, everybody's situation is different, but right now, for the most part in Canada and the US, there's no big panic right now. So, take this time and go do what you gotta do. These guys are visibly shaken up, right? You can tell, like, his voice is quivering, and he's pretty nervous. Of course you would be, right? Because he knows that this person is a school teacher. and he knows that this person, is an elementary school teacher. Like he would have been in contact with hundreds of kids a day for up to like a week, that we know of, right?
And
Sad.
stay informed. The OHA website, healthoregon.org/coronavirus, has a variety of information pieces for individuals and providers. And the 211 information line is equipped with information to.
Yeah, he's just gonna keep going on stuff. Okay, so yeah, individual tested positive for coronavirus. Preliminary test is an employee at Forest Hills Elementary School. School will be closed through Wednesday for deep cleaning. I think it's going to be closed a lot longer than just Wednesday, unfortunately. Would you capture it twice? This is a big question right now. And I've had earlier streams where I was, kind of going off on a tangent about how this goes into like a remissive state. It can hide from our immune system by the way that it infects us, using our ACE2 receptors is kind of like a backdoor Trojan horse into our system, into our body. It really is, and it's hard to detect. We're having a hell of a time with the tests, and people know that the tests they're as good as probably right now as the forehead temperature scans almost. Yeah, it's rough, right? It is rough. So I'm thinking that these people that are getting better aren't really getting better. Like once you're infected with this, you're infected with it. It kind of goes into like a remissive state or a hibernation state or something, and then comes back out again. And that was like, reports coming out of China in, around the between, even before February. In January, the reports were coming out with people saying, in the questionnaires at the hospitals, they were asking if it was your first or your second time. Now, why would they ask that in your intake question, right? If it's your first or your second time, obviously they're aware of second cases of this, right? So people are saying, well, you can catch it twice. That's not really all that possible, because considering, I don't know. There's a lot of science behind it, but how your body makes antibodies that if you were in fact over this, your body would in fact produce antibodies to it, meaning that it would be very hard to get infected with it right away again. It would they last for quite a while, to protect your system, right? So if in fact you aren't getting cured of this, I don't think you do. And I knew that, like, I think from like pretty well day one, like not day one, but early on for sure, and didn't really know a whole lot about what I was talking about, but I could just see the science behind it, and I just knew that it is in fact able to hide somehow. It's a stealthy thing in our system. And when the test results were coming back with viral load in them, they were still coming back negative, but there was particles of virus in the test. And that got me thinking, like, in the first place I heard that was from the Ontario Health Minister. And they said that there was a viral load still in there, but the tests were coming back negative. And they were coming back twice in a row negative. Like that's how they would clear a person. If you get two negatives in a row, you're pretty well cleared. But the virus was still in the sample. And they said they didn't know what that meant. They didn't know if it was inactive or dead virus, but the samples were coming back negative, so they were releasing them. And my theory behind that, I started thinking, like, what the hell? And then I started studying about the binding receptors and the binding properties of this specific virus, and how it uses these abilities to infect us in such a way that our bodies can't even detect it. It's scary. And I think that it's just going into like a remissive state almost. It might be doing something on the cellular level, Who knows, right? But it's obviously gone into like a sleep state or something, and then you get this again. And it's not, of course it's going to be worse, right? I don't think anybody has actually ever been cured of this, so don't, I really don't. I have my really skeptical side about that. You get this, and that's it. And yeah, it's unfortunately that's the way it is, and it's not being me being an alarmist. It's more of a sense being a realist, given the gravity of the situation and all of the science that is around it. We got heavy military presence everywhere. Of course you would, but it's unfortunately it is pretty bad, and they're not really telling us. I think they know. But if they came out and told us, I think it would start a war. It would probably start a war, with whatever. You know what I mean? They can't let they can't come out and accuse or give us direct information accusing any one person. So they are rolling with the animal source at this time, but they still haven't found anything at this time. Which, giving the amount of people and the amount of effort on a global level, they would know by now, right? Or at least have a good idea. And they don't even have a link. Like, not even, the pangolin, I think, was the, one of the ones. But, yeah. Unfortunately, we got to think of this as worst case scenario, because it is turning into worst case scenario. And it's no longer a hype. It's no longer clickbait. It never was. A lot of people thought that. I thought that. Sometimes I was like, what the hell? This can't be real. But unfortunately. And yeah, my neck of the woods, yeah. Everybody's scrambling, right? Well, okay, yeah, so 7th, that was earlier. That was on February 28th at 3 p.m. They confirmed a person had traveled from Iran. And then again, where was it? Ontario is an 8th case. So this is the 8th. And it was a man with travel history to Egypt. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he got it in Egypt. He might have got it on the flight from Egypt, so it was most likely on the flight, because there's so many infected people flying around. There really is. Like the cruise ships, almost every cruise ship that's out in sea has like almost had an outbreak so far. That's how many people are infected with this. They're everywhere. We can't see this moving through our society. We're only catching very limited amount of cases, a fraction of what's out there. Really. It's just how it is. We could never catch all the cases because people aren't really sick with this all the time. They say most of the cases are mild cases. That's very disturbing. Because if it's mild cases, well, most people aren't going to know they're infected. It'd actually be better if it was more severe. It'd be more detectable. We could weed out the more severe people, but we're finding the more severe people, but like not any of the non-severe. And we can't just test everybody. There's no way to do that. We can't even keep up with what's happening now. We really can't. Like, they need to develop a better or a different testing method than the PCR or something. But even that's very, yeah, it's very iffy at times, right? And the World Health Organization today has classified the whole globe as very high, which is now the same classification as China right now. And this is to entail like the whole world. They didn't say pandemic, well, because pandemic will create panic. It's a panic world, so they just classified it as very high, and that's where it's giving people a false sense of security. It really is, and it's a terrible thing. You know, in order for them to not panic people, they can't tell the truth. You're right. um, Especially if the truth will panic people. So they're lying to us. That's just the way it is. They were lying in China. They're lying here. They'll just continue lying until it boils over, and oops, outbreaks everywhere. And you can bet that they're mobilized to like hit these places with military people like as quick as possible. Like there's people on standby right now to just go and shut places down if need be. But they did say, well, although quarantine is illegal in Canada, I don't know. I think national security would trump anything, or global security or whatever kind of spin they're going to put on it. But it would. They would just, come and shut down the city in a Canadian way. See, it would, but you still wouldn't be getting in or out. Unless it was absolutely like some dire special circumstance. Italy has, 888 cases. And like this is like northern Italy, right? This is like quaint village type places. Doctors still make house calls in these type of villages and places. And it's just gone through there like wildfire, unfortunately. And that's the way it is everywhere. We can only take a lesson from this watching it. We're watching this right now and we're saying to ourselves, yeah, maybe. But it literally could just pop anywhere, at any time. It's absolutely everywhere. It really is. We don't know who has this, right? All of a sudden, the school teachers got it now. And there's probably dozens of school teachers probably have it. We just don't know, right? Or even just public workers, servants, like restaurant workers. We just, oh my God. I don't take any chances. I didn't. I quit. I stopped working. When I found out about this, I had such a good gut feeling about it that I stopped working. I kept my kid home. I did. And I have no fucking regrets about that. It was a terrible choice to make, but at the same time, I felt like it was something I had to do. And why, why go against your gut feeling? It just makes you feel terrible doing that. So, I go with my gut feeling. And I'm glad I did this time. I'm sure this is just going to go sideways. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. As much as we can say, oh, our systems are going to be good. No, it's not. We're going to move pretty quick here. Within the next week or two, it's really going to rear its head. Because that's where we're at right now. We were kind of lagged behind because this has got like, a 14-day, even up to some people saying 27-day incubation period. All right, well, that's kind of fitting the timeline about when, things are going to start popping up. And things are, kind of popping up. Cases here and everywhere, right? All over the place. Because there was a lot of travel that came out of China. The amount of travel that was still going on, and actually still is going on, even internationally, it's ridiculous. They're putting the economy and the markets and money ahead of, honestly, our safety, because they're going with the numbers which are completely wrong, and they know this. They know they're wrong, and by the time they realize, oops, that's exactly what happened in China. It's exactly how it happened in China, right? It was the same way. They just kept, for whatever reason, they kept stalling and stalling and stalling, and they just couldn't cover it up or wait anymore. And all of a sudden, when they did want to do something about it, well, it was too late. It was, and we're only repeating those mistakes, unfortunately. And some places don't even have the opportunity. It just pops up like, these clusters just pop up out of nowhere. And they are actually everywhere. Let's go take a look at some numbers. Some recent numbers. Just for fun. Okay, so day 39, COVID-19 outside of China. So this is only 39 days. since the first case was ever detected out of China. Okay, so now we got South Korea with 2,337. Well, yeah, South Korea is pretty close to China. North Korea's got a bunch of cases. They're like executing people, like it's like zombie style up there. I'm not sure what's going on, but they say they have no cases, but they're definitely executing people. So says an inside source. Diamond Princess, 705 cases. Yeah. I think they just kind of stopped testing there because, why bother? Total deaths, 6. New deaths, plus 2. And Italy, yeah, 655. Italy's up. Actually, I think Italy's way more than that right now. I think Italy's 888. Yeah, we just looked at that earlier. And yeah, these numbers are all, but the newest ones that were reported, like Lithuania, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new places that didn't have it before, reported cases. Oh, and the official from South Korea, Justice Ministry, the guy who's supposed to be in charge of the coronavirus situation, jumped off the bridge and killed himself. That's yep, he did. And we got high level officials affected with this. We do everywhere, because they do international travel. They travel first class all the time with other people that are probably infected. The Iranian health minister is definitely infected. There's countless other people, officials in China that are affected. We don't know if there's anybody in the States, if there's people in Canada, we don't know. There's cases. There's a it's around here somewhere. Let's just see. CDC defends handling case in California, because this is really odd. This person was suspected of having, and they had almost every, they did have every symptom of this, but they refused to test them because they had no travel history to China. But they only since changed this rule yesterday from the United States. So they were only testing people who had travel history from China. And the United States, I think, only tested 400 and some odd people. It's the lowest amount of people tested in the world, actually, because they don't believe that they're ready. And that's why they're stalling, because they actually shit the bed on this, because, Donald Trump, he unfortunately got rid of a lot of extracurricular programs that he felt weren't, very vital. And, some of these programs included disaster relief and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, terrible situation, right? So this person actually did end up having it, but they're defending it, saying, well, the criteria for that at the time, since the patient did not fit the existing criteria, the test was not immediately administered. So they were just denying people the whole time, right up until yesterday, up until the 27th, or actually today, still today, 28th. So just until today, they only changed the criteria that now if you have, all these accompanying symptoms, they will actually test you for this. Whereas before they weren't. Can you imagine? Oh my fuck. It's just wildfire. I'm sorry to say, people, it is. Like, it's been traveling so long. Like, it has. Just almost unabated, right? Like, and the amount of people that actually got out of China when the lockdowns were happening is extraordinary. We couldn't imagine, and I don't think you'd want to imagine, because what they did is they took flights to wherever they could. It didn't matter where it was going, as long as it was out of Hubei province, mostly, when it first went down. But then, it was just anywhere out of China after that. And then they were taking connecting flights to, the US or wherever else they were going to go. but definitely not back to China. And we can't say all these people were infected, but we could say a lot of them were. And who we know that there's been cases where people are spreading this like very, very viciously. And it's again, it's tough to test. And here again, some patients are testing positive days after recovery. Yes, and I said that like weeks ago, just because of the way that the first people to say this was the Ontario Health Ministry. Came out and said there was still viral load in the samples, but the tests were coming back negative, and they were coming back negative twice in a row. So they were considered free of the virus, but they couldn't explain why the virus was still in the sample. They didn't know if it was live or dead. So I started digging into this a whole lot, and it turns out that this can actually infect us in such a way that it can almost, it does hide from our immune system only whenever it's, during a certain process, right? Is our immune system reacting to this and, responding in a way, but it attacks our immune cells. Like, it attacks a bunch of different cells, actually. We're not quite sure what cells it can't attach to, which is kind of concerning. But it's definitely using the ACE2 receptor, the binding receptor, and that has been confirmed, which is, it's a backdoor way into our system without being detected. In a sense, it can actually disguise itself pretty easily if it had these attributes to do that, and it sure seems like it has these attributes to do that. The virus itself, and that's why it's being such a key point of study, right? These proteins, or these glycoproteins that are on these messenger, on the outside of the virus, where it's going to contact with our cell. It's these messenger little amino acids and stuff, and they're all dangling around like spaghettis or something. I don't know how you want to picture it, but they touch our cells, and depending, let's say, how many languages it can speak, it's going to be able to infect the cell more easily. Certain viruses can only infect us, it's not really easy for them to infect us. Certain things, it's not hard for them, but it's not easy either. But if a virus were to say, be able to speak multi languages in a cellular language, that could be very alarming, and it sure seems like it is. It's and just by the way that it's spreading, it's spreading perfectly, a little too perfectly, because it's not deadly enough that it's going to burn itself out, but it's latent enough that it's going to sweep across a very vast majority of the globe before it's even picked up. That's exactly the kind of attributes you would want in let's say, a viral weapon. It would seem to be, is it possible? Yes, it is. Is it for sure? No, it's not. Is it very highly suspicious that this specific virus has these abilities to infect our CD4 receptors, in not only our CD4 receptors, but it's also doing some very odd things molecularly, but they're not really talking about that very much. They say that the DNA is stable, which is an RNA based virus, so I'm not sure what they mean by the DNA stable, but yeah, it's a lot, right? And we can get into the science for a long time, but let's go look at some news. Because news, they're actually starting to report on this really good in some places. Before, they were kind of, everything was a conspiracy theory. Everybody was, but now, actually, we're pretty sure that the Pope has coronavirus, because where this big outbreak is happening in Italy, in northern Italy, Well, that's like not too far from where the Pope is. And people probably travel from northern Italy to go see the Pope, I would imagine, at least one person. Just because it is a quaint little village, right? And that's their culture, that's their style. It wouldn't be that long of a trip. So they go and they meet and they greet and they're mingling with, the masses of people there, right? Could you imagine how fast that would rip through there? Oh, like, especially with the RO value that this has, like, we still have no concrete definition of what it is. They said, the first numbers came out, it was around a 4 or a 3, and then, it kind of went to like a 5 and a 6, and then it went back to like a 2, and I think it's still around a 2.5 or 2.8 is what they kind of officially classify it as. But anything over 2 is not good. But I think it's much higher than that, just because how fast it's spreading. It ripped across the whole globe in less than like 90 days. I know our travel is much more connected these days, and it is like that's a downfall, because we can travel the whole globe in 12 hours, and so can an infected person. Depends who it is, who they're meeting along the way, and that's just one scenario. Like, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people got out of China before the lockdowns. And where did they go? There's reports that, over 1,000 got direct flights from China right to New York. 1,000 people. So that's just direct from there. And that's from Wuhan. Like, a lot of people came over there. Not good, all right? And that's just one case. That's just like, there's countless places. And I honestly think that it is everywhere right now. I really do. I'm not saying everybody has it, but it's like, it's within every city, everywhere on this planet. It has to be, right? It's just the way she goes. Yeah, and again, Israeli passenger on the Diamond Princess cruise ship who was presumed to have recovered and released from quarantine has tested positive again. There it is, people tested positive. No, this is the guy here, and he's doing an interview, and he's like coughing. He can't stop coughing. Excuse me. Takes his kid's water. Like, he's infected. They are infected.
Yeah, I'm fine. I got tested
this is an
twice,
old video.
Negative both times. Excuse me. Let me get some of that. They said, yeah, I'm fine. I got tested twice, negative both times. Excuse me.
But anyway, yeah. That was an older video, but they in fact did end up being positive. They're now positive. So that was it's just happening, right? That's just the way it is. You get this, you don't get rid of it. I don't care what they're telling us. It's just not to panic the public, right? That's their number one goal right now. They can't panic the public. If they do panic the public, well, then that's an even bigger situation on top of a bigger situation. Right? Like, we got 1, 2, 3. Mexico's now got them. New Zealand, Nigeria. It's everywhere. And this is what we're detecting, right? We're not, the United States wasn't even testing for this until today from anyone who had no outside travel history to China. So how many people, yeah, right? Now we know there's a teacher who's got this, potentially infected all kinds of students. Like, that's, oh, what a situation. I couldn't even, my heart goes out to those people, but like, we got to accept this and rise above it. Because if you don't, you will get sucked into it mentally, physically, emotionally, all that kind of stuff, and it's going to be rough, right? It will. But we have to be aware and just be neutral in a sense, if we can be that. New York City says it's unable to reliably test for coronavirus. The kits that were sent to us have demonstrated performance issues and cannot be relied upon to provide an accurate result. You imagine. That's a reason, right? That's a reason to say, well, oops, we didn't know. What if this thing is actually everywhere? And, the highest of, like, I'm just conspiracy theorying right out to left field here, but, if let's just say these, like, biggie lights are infected with this, their families and friends, and, and it's just a matter of time for them or something, would they just say the hell with it and, try to bring us all down? It almost seems like that. And I'm not thinking too far out of the box, I don't think. It's possible, and that's not to incite, any bunch of conspiracy theories about stuff, but it's a thought, and it's a thought. It's a very rational thought, actually. These people are losing their fortunes and losing everything. They're like, fuck it, let's just take them all with us. Is it possible? Yeah, it sure is. But is it serious? More serious than what they're letting on? Yeah, you're goddamn right it is. And I promise you that. I wouldn't lie to you. I don't even know you. I got no reason to lie to you. But I really believe that, and a lot of people do. Scientists have found why new coronavirus is so much more infectious compared to old SARS way of entry. The new binding method is 100 to 1,000 times as efficient. Ain't that some shit? But I knew that. Like, I did. I knew it from day one. The papers that came out that everybody discredited, actually, I kind of took a liking to and tried to study as much as I could and figure out as much as I could about it. And, there's a lot of truth to these initial papers that they wanted to scrap, and they wanted people to believe were conspiracy theories. And most people would just believe that they're conspiracy theories, because most people can't handle the truth. And they don't want to. They just don't. And they'll still deny it, even if it's like melting down around them. They will. And sad, and we're going to have all kinds of different reactions from people when this goes where it's going, and it's just a matter of time. I'm sorry to say. And it's probably going to be sooner than later, to be honest. Within the next month, at least, we're going to see widespread through the United States and Canada, for sure. If it's not already, right? I believe that it's probably got a pretty good foothold in Canada and the United States as well. Everywhere. Of course it would. It's obviously spread to everywhere, so and it makes sense, if it's 100 to 1,000 times more infectious. Well, efficient means to mean like it's more efficient at binding to the cell, right? You see all these little prickly, or like these little fuzzy things that are, under the microscope here from these little cell cultures of the virus. Those there are the communication, I guess, amino acids and stuff that hang off there. They're like these big chains of amino acids, and they're like little message centers. And when they connect to one of our cells and they can communicate with it, the cell doesn't know that it's bad, right? The cell recognizes it as a friend. And what it does is it makes its way in like a Trojan horse behind the firewall, in a sense, and it's not noticed. It gets into our cell, it starts mutating in our cells. Or not mutating, but it starts replicating inside our cell. And then once our cell gets so full, it either explodes or it just kills the cell. Right? And then all these little like millions of them come out of the cell, and then they go on to infect, all more cells. That's how this virus works. It's endocytosis, or I think that's what it's called, something like that. Oregon reports its first presumptive case. Yes, that was the teacher. All right. That was the teacher. U.S. Here we go. That's the big ones, right? Drug shortages already because they can't get these APIs. These APIs are active pharmaceutical ingredients, and they are ingredients that they send off to other pharmacies or pharmaceutical companies so they can make, the medicine. But we don't have these APIs because China is not making them. And the Dow Industrial, it sank like, oh, holy fuck. It's still just gonna keep plummeting. Like, we're in recession right now, we just don't even know it. It just hasn't, like, it happened so fast, we're just not feeling the effects of it yet. But we will real soon. Of course, it's kind of got a lag effect like the virus, right? It's kind of funny how that works. Yeah, with second California case of unknown origin just 90 miles from the first case, we are near to a moment where the U.S. must foresee that there's wide community transmission. Silent, undetected cases are likely occurring in many parts of America, especially large coastal cities. It is. Goddamn right it is. Because it's so hard to detect. We can't detect it because it's just very mild symptoms mostly. We're only catching the very serious cases or the direct people that we know we have contact flight from China or infected areas. Right? Oh yeah, Fox News just interviewed the guy who went through the coronavirus process, but now he couldn't stop coughing during the interview. That's sad. Like, fuck. Came back, he's positive. So, how many people did the United States test as of today? 459 people is all that the US has tested so far. And that was just from earlier today. But Canada, or BC, sorry, not Canada, but BC alone has tested 1,012 cases just in BC, British Columbia, Canada. And the US, all of US, just only tested 459 people. Yeah, they're not testing aggressively enough, and I don't think they're ready for it. It's just gonna, unfortunately, come in like, a very unwelcome guest. Yeah, it's not good, right? Yeah, elementary school. Wow, that's not good. Definitely not. And we're only going to see this pop up in a matter of time. We will. And my message to people is prepare. Like, prepare right now. Or it's unreal. The amount of people that still don't get it. And either they don't want to get it or whatever the issue is, but when they decide to get it, maybe it'll be too late. Right? It's gonna fucking suck. You're gonna regret all those fucking smiley faces or those laughing faces on these, like, on these coronavirus posts. You're gonna eat shit. Sorry. No, but that's terrible. Some people are like laughing at like some of these posts and totally just left field, right? Like saying that it's like something to get Donald Trump like not elected, and I don't know. There's a lot of weird comments, and it was just like, wow, people still don't really believe it. And that's sad, man. That's sad. Because it's, it's ignorance really in a sense, but we're so conditioned to a society where we're so blatantly fed propaganda and well, not propaganda, but in an extreme sense, but enough to make people, question like that, fuck, this is just another this is just another clickbait thing, or this is, unfortunately, this is not this time. This is not. We're gonna see something. We're gonna see something we never seen. And it's gonna become real quick. And you don't want to be stuck around. Like, it just turned into a shit show at the supermarket. Just like it did in China. Just like it did in China. Really. And they're actually more of a, a people that don't do any of that kind of shit because of their heavy-fisted ruling, authority. The U.S. and people like that are just kind of off the fucking rocker already. You can imagine being in a fucking supermarket with somebody like that, right? Especially, no, it's not good. Let's just check in. Let's just roll with this, see what this says.
News has learned a passenger on board a WestJet flight originating from Vancouver that landed at Winnipeg's airport was taken to hospital with a possible case of COVID-19.
A middle-aged woman exhibited symptoms that have led to primary screening for the virus. Now you can see in these photos submitted to Global News by one of the passengers, paramedics in masks and protective clothing on the flight.
They are so not protected for that. Like, no eye goggles, nothing, eh? You can get this through the eyes. And they should know that. Like, come on. It's so sloppy. If she is in fact infected, possibly going to infect these guys, they probably won't even know they're infected until they, could be weeks. While they're going to work. Being a paramedic. Oh my fuck. Do you see how bad this is? We're not taking this seriously. We're taking it seriously, but we're not ready for this as a society. Hell no. No. I'm sorry, we're not. So you need to take care of yourself. You really do. Fuck everything else. You do you. Well, and your family, like, you know what I mean? Take care of you and your family. But obviously, right, it's down to it. It really is. That's where we're at. And you'll know. Like, you'll know when it's time. You will. You will. But will it be too late? Right? That's what we don't know. And I'm not all doom and gloom about this. I'm just being a realist about this. Because this is way worse than what they're can imagine. Because most of the people at levels, they're not really being told what this is a whole lot, but they can see what's happening, but they're only being fed whatever their higher ups are telling them. Right? So it's going to be a slap in the face for everybody. And, like Ontario's got 8 cases now. It's going to be an outbreak in Toronto. You're fucking right, there is. If it's not already happened, it's probably an outbreak right now. But we're just not catching the cases. And honestly, that's exactly what's happening. There's no way. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way we could catch all the cases. We just couldn't. Not with the virus being being spread and not showing any symptoms. That is crazy. It really seems like this thing was manufactured. I don't care. It's got the characteristics of it. The science kind of supports it. There is a level 4 biolaboratory where this began, in the same fucking place. Like, literally, just there's actually multiple places around that area doing scientific experiments on bats, which this does have bat DNA in it. So it just begs, and then you start losing people. People who are like, that's fucked. I don't want to hear that. I'm just going to go back to my news and pretend it's not happening. No, you can't. You got to act now. You got to do something now. Like, at least have, a game plan, right? And it's not to panic people, but you got to be aware that this is going down. This isn't a joke. This is no joke. And it's not anything what you think it is. I promise you. This thing's evil. And that's not to bring hype. That's to bring awareness. Seriously. They're downplaying everything because they don't want to panic people. But there's only so much they can do before it boils over. And that's exactly what they did in China, right? They just let it go until it boiled over. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It's still costing time and people are still getting infected. And now we got like, oh my God. They're going to have like this is going to be declared an outbreak here. I'm going to call it and say, yep, this is going to be the US's first outbreak. Because if he's a school teacher and he's been teaching at that school, there's going to be multiple people in that school, that community. You know, it's going to be their first. Oregon's going to be the first one, right? Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen because they're going to start testing people. They're going to start testing the kids in his class first, and then maybe the staff, the kids' parents. You imagine? That's how infectious this is, and you don't even know you have it. I think that's some scary shit. It's a ghost. That's why I don't trust it. I stopped working, kept my kid home because I knew I might not be, you know, the smartest cookie on the fucking planet, but I got a lot of, like, how do you say, different experiences. You know, I should say it's like jack of all trades, master of none, but it gives me a better variety of knowledge. I can pick a little bit from, you know, a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and understand it a little bit better. And I just knew that this, I didn't want to be right about it, but my gut feeling told me, no, I gotta go with my gut on this one. And I did. Kept my kid home from school, became a hermit, started stockpiling and hoarding shit. You know, food mostly, medical supplies, you know, for him and for, it's important because it's going to disappear. It will. Unfortunately, we don't know how long it's going to last. What if it like wipes out the people, like the farm, like the workers who make pharmaceutical stuff, and like students who are studying to do this, and there's just nobody around to run the factories. Like, we got to think of that. It's actually a very good possibility. It's happening in China. They can't go back to work because people are infected. Right? That's just the way it is. And everybody thinks, no, this can't happen. Yes, it can happen, and it's gonna happen. Unfortunately, this is the real one. And we need to get our shit together. I'm kind of nonchalant right now because I'm in the neck of the woods where it's, you know, I'm still on the fence. I guess, like, I'm gonna see it happen before it happens where I'm at. We're behind the times like 10 years, so it'll at least take like, you know, 10 days before any of this, even if it happens like down the road, it'll still take a while. Yeah, because we're just everything's behind the times here. But I'll see it happening. Right, it's gonna give me a heads up, or it might not. Fuck, they could just come in and, like, it could be an outbreak at any moment anywhere, right? We don't know. And you don't know what's happening at your local health center, you know, because they're just not going to be posting right away. If there's a serious thing going on, they're going to be like, well, okay, we got to get mobilized and then deal with this, because right? But they say it's illegal to lock down any place in Canada. So what would you do? You just have to volunteer to do it, okay? But there still would be check stops. Of course there would. You wouldn't be getting out of certain places, right? You might still be able to go walking around your community or whatever, but I don't think you'll be getting out of the city. And we don't know, right? We just don't know. But we're going to find out. And there's a ton more news coming out. And this, you know, the science behind this is supporting some pretty shadowy theories, and unfortunately we have to take those into consideration. And anybody who doesn't look at both sides, I'm sorry, you have to be at least a critical thinker for a little bit. And if you can't do that, and at least accept the fact or entertain the the notion that this is batshit, this shit, whatever you want to call it, shit show level event, or batshit crazy, or disease X, whatever. It's nothing to panic over, but we need to be aware of this, right? And that's another thing. If you're gonna panic, you're gonna panic. That's it. But you might panic for a bit, but then chill out after a while. You're like, God damn it, can't just sit here and keep panicking. This is not working. You might gain some strength from that. So just don't give up all fucking hope. We are pretty resilient creatures, but if we don't act fast and take measures, I think we could be. She could be. Well, it is gonna be, unfortunately, a rocky road for the next little while. But how bad is it gonna be? It only seems like these cases are just like, it just keeps getting worse. Like right there, worse. Wow. I didn't actually plan that. But researchers, they're doing a lot of researching, but they still have no answers. Definitive ones anyway, right? How long can survive on surfaces? Well, they say up to 9 days. So I would, at least wait 2 weeks if I was gonna, if I thought something was contaminated. And even then I would spray it with bleach and, wear gloves or something. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to get some more news for you. It's going to get some more updates. Going to start. There is a press conference that just came out a little while ago from the Washington State. I'm going to dig into that and see what they had to say, because there's probably some big developments going to start happening here in the United States, unfortunately. So if you're listening to this from the US, or if you know somebody in the US who could benefit from listening to this, share it around. I don't care if you like it, but just share it. Get it out there, because people need to be aware. And I don't know if that's going to help, but it might. Of course it's going to help, right? If you can see it coming, you're going to be expecting it. So it's not going to have a complete shadow over you, right? Expect it, and expect the unexpected, because it can happen right now. No matter what you think or anything that we think we know to date, we don't know what could unravel because of this, right? We just don't, and we have to have our guard up on that. And I hope everyone stays safe. I really do, and take care. And I hope people understand the gravity of this. And unfortunately, it's no longer a conspiracy theory. This shit's gone absolutely global. And like, we see these little numbers. Don't let that fool you, for fuck's sakes, please, because these are only a fraction of what we're actually catching out in the society. So with that, be safe, be aware, take care. I'll see you soon again. I'm sure the news will never end. Oh yeah, yo, what's up? Stay away from Alaska. I'm out. Oh shit. Yeah, Alaska's got some issues. I'm going, just do my flip lid. Oh shit. Yeah, well, I always forget about people in the comment section. I don't know. I start talking and that's all I just want to forget about everything. Stay away from Alaska. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Northern California checking in. Yeah, dude. What's up, Bobito? You guys are weak. Oh shit. That's not good. Love from Malaysia. What? All the way up there. Nice to see you guys. Sweet. Yeah, we'll keep you updated best I can. Yeah, a lot of people. Oh man, this is this is good. I'm happy you guys are at least listening. So maybe it's get some awareness of this. And I don't know, still a lot of speculative stuff going around, but unfortunately, it's it's being confirmed every second. So with that, take care, and yeah, we'll see you soon, very soon. Peace.